Hi guys. So today I thought I would do a vlog style video. So for me, what I want these vlogs to be sort of just like you came over and we're just kind of sitting and catching up. I think that those are the vlogs that I love watching. I'm also gonna do vlogs where I like take you guys along with me if I'm going anywhere cool. Or even if it's just like a normal day. I love those too. I love those like sort of follow me around vlogs. But yeah, I really enjoy watching vlogs where people just kind of sit down and talk to the camera as if they're talking to their friend. And I find that those are the vlogs that I sort of like get sucked into the most. So yeah, that's kind of like how I want to do my vlogs. You guys are my friends and I want to just sit down and talk to you about everything that's been going on. So first, let me just say that I have the window open because it's warm in the city, and so you might hear a bunch of crazy things. You might hear trucks, you might hear people honking their horns. Hopefully none of those things will occur during this vlogging time, but you never know. Also, I guess there's not an also. I think that's all the things I have to warn you about. Anyway, so the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about, because it's been like so much on my mind, and I want to kind of see if anyone else feels the same way. I've talked to my husband about it. I've talked to my best friends about it. I actually talked to like one or two people at work about it as well. I've been going baby crazy. Like, it's all I can think about, and it's not just like, oh, I love looking at cute baby clothes. That's totally part of it. Like, I love looking at cute baby clothes, but it's something more, it's something deeper. I kind of feel, and how I explain it to people is I feel like someone came inside my body, flipped a switch, and it's sort of like now all I can think about is like being a mother and babies and like mothering, and it's so interesting. I've never felt this way before. I've always wanted kids, and I taught kids for a long time, but I never, like, it was never so, I guess, visceral of like a desire to like be a mother. And so like I talked to my husband about it. I'm like, listen, like, I know that right now we're not like in a position where we like want to have children. Like, we just got married, we kind of want to like do the married thing for a little bit, but I just need you to know that like all I can think about are babies, all I can think about are kids. So I don't know, I was wondering, does anybody else feel that way? Like, did anyone else, maybe who already has kids, did you guys go through that experience of like, there was this moment where you were like, oh my gosh, I am now ready to be a mother, and I can do it, and I believe in myself, and like some sort of like switch has been turned on, and like I am good to go. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I can't stop like pinning baby things, and we started to get like a couple babies in our family. My best friend had a baby, my cousin had a baby. So I'm around babies, and like, I mean, you never understand the reality of having a kid until you actually have one. I 100% agree with that. But I never feel like deterred after I'm with a baby. I know like some people are like, oh, I'm so happy to like give it back at the end of the day. But I don't feel that way. I like very much so feel like I'm ready to start a family. So I don't know, I'm very excited about it. I don't feel like nervous. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, this isn't right. I feel excited. I still don't think we're going to be having children anytime soon. But it kind of feels good to feel like I'm ready. Like when the time comes, I feel really ready to be a mom. So yeah, that's been like the number one thing on my brain, and whenever I see women with their babies. And I do teach, for those of you who don't know, I teach Pilates, and so I am lucky enough to teach a couple prenatal clients, and then I do have a few postpartum clients, and it's just, I love being around that energy, and I just think it's so special. I think it's so, so, so special. So I'm really excited for one day that it becomes my turn, and I'm so excited mostly to like vlog the experience, because I am addicted to like mommy vlogs. I'm addicted to pregnancy vlogs. I think they're so smart, and I think, you know, it was so hard. It used to be so hard for women to communicate to one another, and every pregnancy is so different. And sort of the number one thing I hear from my prenatal clients, well, postpartum clients, a little bit of both, is, oh my gosh, there's so much that I didn't know. There's so much that, like, watching movies doesn't tell you. And I know that sounds so ridiculous, but primarily, like, when you think back to when you're a kid or a teenager, like, all of the information, at least that I had about, like, birth and giving birth and being a mother, like, came from movies. And so in my head, I was like, okay, like, I know sort of what it's about and what's going to happen, and, like, I guess this is it. But after, obviously, like, going to school and going through my certification and then working with prenatal women and postpartum women, it is so different. But even those women who go through their pregnancy, go through the birthing experience, it's always so interesting because they're like, you know, I didn't know this was going to happen, and I didn't know this was going to happen. My doctor didn't tell me. My gynecologist didn't tell me. Like, no one told me that this was going to happen. No one told me that, you know, I'd be feeling this way after birth, or I'd be feeling this way 2 weeks after birth, or I'd be feeling this way during my 6th month. And so anyway, I think YouTube is really amazing in that women who are prenatal and then postpartum can share their experiences. And I, like, can't wait to be a part of that and to, like, contribute. I think that that's so, so amazing. So anyway, I'm rambling, but I just wanted everyone to know that I am so baby crazy, and then when the time comes, I will definitely be sharing that with you all, because I think it's the most exciting thing ever. What else? So, I guess that's, like, the super positive thing, and not to be, like, super negative, but, like, this is just the truth. I live in Manhattan. As I'm sure you can tell, you can, like, see my bedroom, see my living room, see my kitchen, sort of all living in one. And lately, I've just been feeling crazy. I do recognize that I am, you know, lucky enough that I even found an apartment in the city, because so many people just don't. I'm lucky that I have a job and that we're able to just afford this place. But the city just, like, takes something out of you. And I grew up in the suburbs about an hour north of Manhattan. And I remember as a kid always coming into the city and thinking, like, oh, this is the most amazing place. There's so many people. I love the energy. I love that, you know, things are going a mile a minute. And there was just, like, something that touched my soul. Like, oh, one day I want to live in the city. One day I want to live in Manhattan. And I think, you know, now I look back and I think, like, oh, what went wrong? Like, what went wrong in me that, like, now that I'm actually living here, I don't enjoy it? And I think it's important to honor, you know, honor dreams that you once had, and then to also honor the reality of those dreams. I think so often people kind of get to where they've always aspired to, and then when the reality doesn't sort of live up to their expectations, they feel depressed or they feel really upset. And I don't know, I guess I'm learning more and more that that's not, reality is reality. It has, you know, so many factors come into play, but you just kind of have to honor where you are in your life, and honor how you feel first and foremost. And so even though I had these moments where I'm like, well, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why don't I love living here? This has been my dream. This was always my dream. And I'm like, am I being ungrateful? Am I being selfish? I think I have to put all of that stuff aside and just honor how I feel. And I just don't like it. I just don't like living in the city. Without, like, getting too, like, negative or Debbie Downer-ish, I think for me, the biggest part, like, what I miss most about living in the suburbs or outside of the city is the feeling of, like, you know, like, you get home after a long day of work and you can just breathe. And I just don't get that here, and I don't know if it's because our walls are paper thin or what, but I feel like I'm always sort of, like, on this, like, high alert. Or not, like, alert, but, like, I'm always rushing around. I'm always, like, that energy that New York City has that people always talk about, like, oh, like, everyone's always on the go, and everyone's doing a million things, and, like, point A to point B, quick, go. Like, when you live in the city, that is, like, a reality. And it's fun to, like, visit and get that feeling, but could you imagine that feeling all the time? Like, And I think that's what I didn't realize before was, you know, that feeling is exciting to have every once in a while, but for me personally, like living that reality all the time, to always feel like you're rushing, to always kind of feel like you need to be doing something, going somewhere, and everyone's in your way, like that is exhausting to me and like doesn't make me a good person. So I think that how loud it is to, like how loud the cars are and ambulances whizzing by and honking and like all of that stuff doesn't make me feel calm, you know. And like I try so hard to like either listen to music if I'm walking somewhere or to just like give myself almost like a mantra, like I am calm, I am safe, I am happy, I am calm, I am safe, I am happy. And I will literally repeat that to myself a million times as I'm walking to and from work. But it's just not my fave. It's not my fave. And we have to be here, I guess. I mean, we don't have to be here, but we're here for work at the moment. And I think it is good to do, like, this was a dream. So obviously this was going to happen and I had to go through this experience to learn, and I'm so grateful for that. But it's cool. It's cool to think like, okay, well, this is not my favorite place to live. You know, would it be different if the circumstances were a little bit different, if we were making more money, if we had a bigger apartment? I think yes and no. I think it's sort of easy to sit back and be like, well, if I could afford, you know, an apartment for $6,000 and like a brand new building and, you know, the walls are actually insulated, like maybe I would feel differently. And maybe I would, but I don't know. That's not what I'm chasing. I'm not chasing more money. I'm not chasing a nicer apartment. I'm not chasing that stuff. I'm chasing this sense of tranquility and a sense of peace and a sense of community that I don't think I can find here. And again, that's just me. And I love talking to people and kind of meeting people who love it here, who like can't imagine living anywhere else. And I think that's just the beauty of trying to figure out where you fit in. I lived in Toronto in Canada for like 4.5, 5 months once. And I've actually been back and forth from Toronto quite a bit in my life. And that was the only other city that I actually ever like lived in. I did a study abroad program in Rome, but I was so young and I don't even really count it. But growing up outside of New York City and coming to visit New York, that was all I ever knew. I didn't know. I kind of thought, like, obviously I knew that there were other cities in the world, but I thought pretty well all other cities were like New York, like this is what a city looks like, and they're all big and they're all huge and there's millions of people and taxis and buses and like that's what a city is. So living in Toronto and kind of feeling a completely different energy was pretty cool, and made me appreciate like, wow, you can live in the city environment. You can still live with people, but you can live in cities that have just less stress blanketed over them, less anxiety blanketed over them, with people who may just be like a little bit more chill. So yeah, I think it's cool. You know, at first I was a little bit disheartened thinking like, oh gosh, where are we gonna go? And to a certain extent, like we can't just pick up and move to like Chicago or Nashville. I mean, we could, but my whole family's here, and like I think family is really important, and I love my family, and so this is home. But I think that, you know, it's exciting to think that maybe a different city close, or, you know, maybe we try out the suburbs for a little bit or something. So anyway, that's sort of like, that's the big discussion that my husband and I have been having now is, where do we want to live? What do we want? How do we want, like, what do we want our lives to be like? What do we want to do? And so that's exciting. It's exciting and crazy and, you know, real life, folks, real life. What else? I think that's pretty well everything. Oh, I saw Jurassic World this weekend. I loved it. Loved it. I totally recommend. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but if you haven't seen it yet, you definitely have to go. I'm pretty sure, like, the movie's made $1 billion. I think I read an article that said, like, it's the fastest movie to hit $1 billion ever. And so I'm pretty sure everyone's already seen it. We were probably pretty late to the game. But we went yesterday for Father's Day because my dad was actually coming home from San Diego. And my husband's father was on his way to Santa Fe. So both of our dads are on the West Coast, and we were here, and so we decided to go see Jurassic World. And I don't know, I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know what to expect. I think Jurassic Park came out in 1992, I want to say, and I was around like 4 or 5, and I didn't see it then. I saw it, obviously, a few years later when I was a bit older. And, you know, it's one of those classics that, like, it's on TV all the time, and, you know, I remember watching it as a kid and being terrified. Can you hear the horns? And being terrified, and my foot's falling asleep. And so, yeah, it's a classic, but it was never, like, my favorite movie. It was never, like, this sort of film that I, like, that made my heart go racing, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best movie ever, and so I didn't feel like when Jurassic World was coming out, like, oh my gosh, I have to go see this. This is going to be, like, amazing. I could have waited until it came out. But I'm so glad I went to see it in theaters. We went to see it actually in 3D, and I highly recommend, if you haven't seen it in 3D, to go out and see it in 3D because it is so gorgeous and it's so cool, and I loved it so much. I thought it was so great. Just so perfect in a million different ways, and it's definitely one of those films that when it finished I was thinking like, oh, I would love to get this on DVD because I can't wait to see, like, I'm such a sucker. I love the behind the scenes footage that comes with when you purchase the movie, obviously. I love it. And so immediately when the film was over, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I can't wait till this comes out on DVD because I can't wait to see the behind the scenes and how they made the dinosaurs. Because everything just looked so real and it was so amazing. You could see, like, how much hard work was put into it, and yeah, it was just so awesome. So I would highly recommend, if you haven't seen it yet, go see it. We also really want to see Inside Out, but we might wait until, we might, like, make that this weekend, Father's Day, because we couldn't celebrate last weekend. So, I think that's everything pretty well that's sort of, like, new and interesting and crazy in my life. Yeah, thanks for sitting down with me, guys. Thanks for hearing me out. Leave me a comment down below if either you are feeling baby crazy, if you've had a baby and you know, like, don't worry, it's normal, like, you know, right after I got married, I felt like super baby crazy or whatever. I would really appreciate it. Leave me a comment down below if you've ever felt like maybe you're in the wrong place in regards to city. If you perhaps, like, lived in New York City and then moved and, like, found extreme happiness somewhere else, or if you live in New York City and you love it and you know of ways that, you know, sort of help in just relaxing and keeping yourself calm. And also leave me a comment down below if you saw Jurassic World and if you loved it. And again, I highly recommend seeing it in 3D. It was amazing. So thanks so much, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!